Time for the French newspapers now. Elena is back from her holidays, back with us here on France 24. And, of course, the AAA rating, that's what's all over the front pages, even though it happened on Friday.
They're still reacting, though, the politicians and the newspapers. Standard & Poor's brings Europe to breaking point. That's the headline for business paper La Tribune. They say that decision to downgrade not only France, of course, but 9 countries across the Eurozone has risked sparking political earthquakes everywhere as governments rush to contain the damage. Now, here in France, of course, it's really bad news for Nicolas Sarkozy. Their editorial in La Tribune is headlined, "The Devil Wears Double A." They mean, of course, that they're making really the essentially unpopular point that France really deserved this over the last 26 years that they had that AAA. They have never once balanced a budget, so, probably never deserved to have it in the first place. And they say politicians now need to wake up and they need to balance the French budget. This should be what shocks them out of their complacency, according to the paper. Now, what they're really referring to, of course, is a change of government. That's what they think France needs to get it back on the right economic track. The other business paper, Les Echos, has a pretty similarly striking front page with all of Europe downgraded as a headline. You've got all those countries there. Germany on the left with its AAA rating, France in the middle there with a AA+, and Italy over on the right with BBB+. Now, they're saying France has been relegated to the second division of the European economy now, along with Spain and Italy. And if politicians want it to stop falling, then they need to quite radically change the way that France's economy is run now. According to Les Echos editorial, this decision of Standard & Poor's isn't just an attack on particular politicians or particular policies, but the whole way that the French very generous social security system has been run on excessive borrowing over decades.
It's not really going to be an opinions shared on the left side of politics here in France, though, is it?
Absolutely not. L'Humanité, the communist paper, have got the bankruptcy of austerity as a headline today, and their editorial inside is headlined the autopsy of the AAA. And of course, they think they found the murderer, Nicolas Sarkozy. They find him entirely responsible in his austerity policies for France having lost its AAA credit rating. And they say he needs to stop thinking about austerity and start focusing on growth. That's pretty much the same angle that the Catholic paper La Croix takes today as well. They've got priority growth here as the headline of their editorial, and they say that while, of course, this is pretty bad news, it's a bad judgment on France's current economic policy direction. They say France has still got loads of other cards to play. They've got a very skilled workforce. Just too many of those people are unemployed at the moment, and if policymakers can get them back into jobs, then they could yet save the French economy. There's a big summit on unemployment and social policy run by Nicolas Sarkozy coming up on Wednesday, so that paper La Croix is really hoping he comes up with some good suggestions to get people into work.
Internally, of course, here in France, we've got the presidential elections coming up really, really soon. What have the politicians been saying? Because obviously this is now going to be centre stage in that campaign.
Of course it is, and it is the worst news for Nicolas Sarkozy, who had staked his political credibility, on France, hanging on to it. And it's Libération who's asking the most political question this morning. Who's the winner of the bad mark is their front page. Of course, they mean which politicians have best capitalised on Sarkozy's discomfort, this weekend. And it's not actually his main rival, the socialist François Hollande, according to them. Both Sarkozy and Hollande are down in this weekend's polls. The people who are up are those candidates who are able to present themselves as outside the system, those who are able to paint themselves as against the whole ratings agency collusion, if you like, the ones who've been attacking it as an Anglo-American conspiracy. That's both Jean-Luc Mélenchon on the left, who this weekend said he was going to lead a French revolution against the rating agencies, and the right-winger Marine Le Pen, who's been endlessly saying that all the other mainstream economic candidates are exactly the same. So she's making quite good political hay out of that. She's up quite a bit. The paper also says that the Prime Minister François Fillon has been leading Sarkozy's charge this weekend. He's been saying that the stat ratings agency wouldn't have very much more time for François Hollande's policies, and Le Figaro, of course, as you might expect, backs him up on this. They say that in their editorial here on their front page that this downgrading is just another reason not to vote for the socialist François Hollande. This time they reckon it's because he doesn't have enough economic experience.
Had to be some reason. All right, Elena, thanks very much. That's Elena here with the French newspaper review here on France 24.